Hey, good morning. Today we're starting lesson 12. You should have taken a test last week. Hopefully you got that back today and hopefully you did well. I would encourage you to make corrections to make that go up 10%. Mrs. Tilton and I both do the same thing. And make those corrections, get it back in. Even if you had a 90% or 93, make corrections, get it up to 100%. Keep that grade up high. I want to review today solving multi-step equations, and this is where it's very, very important that number one, you write neatly. We're trying to make you write a little bit smaller because as our problems get longer, we just don't want to keep writing huge numbers, and our one problem takes up a good chunk of our page. And so we're trying to force you to write a little bit neater, and smaller. It's very important that you keep track of things. And the other thing that's kind of a struggle sometimes is we get sometimes to steps where it can be solved 4 different ways, and they're all right. And so when you're looking at somebody's work, it might look just a little bit different. But if we all do the same steps in the order that they're supposed to get done, we'll get to the same answer, even though we might have solved it just a tad bit different. Okay, so number one, in steps in solving multi-step equations is number one, we're going to distribute if necessary. How about distribute and spell it correctly? My pen's looking like it might be having some, there we go. I want to say if necessary because like on this first problem, we don't have any parentheses, but a lot of times we will. After we distribute, if there is that, then the next most important thing is to collect like terms. We've reviewed this. And then the last thing is solve for the variable. And it just takes practice. If you keep practicing, things will start to come so naturally that you don't even recognize that you're doing them, okay? So if I don't have distributive on this first one here, but I do have like terms. And I have like terms here with my x's and also here with my units. So a lot of times kids will I recommend that they circle their like terms. And very important, circle the like term with the sign included, okay? Because that's really a positive 9 and a minus 7. Which positive 9 and minus 7 is 2 of these things called x's. Okay? And then I have like terms here, so usually I kind of circle and then I'll either underline or make squares. These guys are on the same side of the equal sign. They're on the left side. And so I can put these two guys together. And that would be a minus 4. And then bring down that minus 20. Now, just like we've been practicing up to this point, there's my x on the left. I need to get rid of this 4. And so we want to get so good that we just jump in and say, hey, you know what? I want to add 4 to both sides. I get 2x. Negative 20 plus 4 is a minus 16. My last step is, well, let's get rid of that 2. Right now we're going to divide by 2 because that says 2 times x. The opposite of divide, or multiply, is divide by. I know a negative divided by positive is a negative. 16 divided by 2 is 8. This is still kind of a problem for a lot of kids that are in repeat math is they don't know what a negative divided by a positive is without a calculator. So start memorizing some of these rules because most of the time you shouldn't need your calculator, okay? Especially at the beginning here. Sometimes we'll get some big numbers like 91 and something. Now, here we do have the distributive property, step number 1. We have to take that minus 7 times everything inside the parentheses. Now sometimes kids will just draw both the loops. I mean, yeah, that's what you're doing, but I would encourage you to do it one loop at a time. Take that negative 7 times 3, and here we are again. Negative times positive is a negative, and that's called 21a's. And then I would draw that loop to the next one, okay? Because sometimes we're going to have 3, 4, 5 terms as we get older in here, and we want to keep track of who we already multiplied and who needs to get multiplied still. So I would encourage you to make the loops one at a time, do that math. Make the second loop, do that math. I know a negative times a negative is a positive, and 7 times 1 is 7. Let's bring everything straight down. Now, even though the A is on the right-hand side, I'm not going to spend one whole step getting it over here to the left because that's what you're used to. I'm just going to get rid of this minus 7 here. And now I don't know what 91 take away 7 is. So, if you're one of these kids that just says, you know, I know Fisher's going to write all this down, and I'll just keep copying it, you don't get good at pushing numbers into your calculator. Okay? So, do this math along with me. And that way you get better at recognizing numbers. You get that rule of let's divide by negatives. It just helps speed things up if you stay up and keep those calculators with me versus just copying it down. Now, I almost got ahead of myself here. I brought that minus 21 down, and I want the A by itself. So to get rid of a negative 21 times A, I'm going to divide by negative 21. Don't forget the sign. Alright, now this is important too because I'm going for my final answer. This is my last step. So I'm going to put my A over here on the left because we want to know what A equals. And now, back to, I know a positive divided by a negative is a negative, and I don't know how many 21s are in 84. I could take a pretty good guess, and you're probably yelling at me, dude, it's 4. But I'm going to make sure. Alright? So, just staying organized, keeping your numbers nice and neat, everything nice and organized is a huge help in staying successful in multi-step equations. I'm just going to bring that 4m down. And I have parentheses right here, so I'm going to multiply that. See how I'm doing my little loops as I do my math here? I will now take that times that, negative times positive. My next step as I look at this math problem is I see like terms, I see m's, and they're both on the left side of the equal sign. So we're going to put these two guys together, we're going to combine them. Again, I look at this and I say I have more negatives than I have positives, so I know it's going to be a negative something. And now I'm going to subtract the two. 15 take away 4 is 11 m's. Bring everything straight down that I haven't used. Next step, we should get more natural with this. I want to get rid of that 50. And again, with practice, you'll start recognizing this and you'll start just doing it. We got 126 plus 50. Getting 176. And now my last step, let's get rid of that negative 11. I want to bring the negative sign with it. Sometimes this is kind of strange, but I see it often. A lot of kids will do this, minus 11 m's. We're trying to get that m by itself. So we're going to not bring the m, we just want to get rid of the 11. Alright, so I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 11. Back to these rules that you should kind of put in your head. Positive divided by negative is a negative. And 176 divided by 11. I'm getting negative 16. I got two sets of parentheses here, so this one's really going to take some organization here. Let's distribute that minus 3 times everything inside of that one. Now really this is a minus 1, so most kids will start recognizing that at this time and just say, hey, you know what, a negative times k is a minus k. A negative times a positive is a minus 5 equals 23. Now on this one, I like to put my k's together first. I got minus 3k's there and minus 1k. Notice I circled the negative sign, or the sign that's in front of the variable as well. So that's really a minus 4k's. And then I see also I have units over here. I have a plus 24 and a minus 5. I got more positives than I got negatives, so I know my answer is going to be a positive something. And 24 take away 5 is 19. And now it's looking a lot more simpler. Let's get rid of that 19. 23 take away 19. My brain's not working very well this morning. And so now the last step, let's divide by a -4. I'm getting k is -1. Now if you really wanted to, you could put that -1 in for the k right there, that -1 in for the k right there, do your parentheses and multiply by -3, do your parentheses, minus it, and it better equal 23. But that we'll save for another day, how to check your work. But if you really wanted to know if that was the right answer and you had time, like after a quiz, you could take these numbers and plug them in and do the math. Alright, I'm just going to bring this 20 down just so I don't forget them. I want to bring that 10x down just so I don't forget that term. And now I'm going to do my distributive property. And again, see how I just do my loop, do the math, bring it down. Now I have -6 times 5, which is a -30. Now, this is one of those cases where there's, oh, nope, we got like terms here. We got to put these guys together. They're both on the right-hand side. I got more negatives than I got positives, so I know I'm going to have a negative, and 12 take away 10 is 2 x's. So kind of start getting into that habit too. See which one you have more of, because they're different signs. I got more negatives, and then just subtract the 2 to find out how many more. Okay? You build up confidence by doing it. If you want to check with your calculator, that would be alright too. But try doing mental math a little bit. Okay? Force yourself. Now, even though my x's are on the wrong side, I'm not going to worry about it again. But now on my last step where I divide by a -2, I'm going to put the x first. Positive divided by negative is a negative, and 50 divided by 2 is 25. Okay, so we're getting some pretty crazy math problems. Tomorrow is going to be even a little bit more. Alright, get into the pattern and just practice, practice, practice. Alright, I'm going to give you a head start on this one. Let's get rid of those parentheses and then let's see how we did. What do you think you should do next? If you're saying collect like terms, you're absolutely right. I got a 16 and I got a -4 there. Bring everything straight down. Now I bet you're getting good at this. Hopefully you're saying let's add 8 to both sides. Notice I put the plus sign there too so that I know, showing my work and that I'm adding 8 to both sides. That's always a good habit too. Sometimes kids just put 8 and 8. So I got more negatives than positives for sure on this one. Now I'm going to whip out my calculator here because I know whatever this number is, the next step is going to be divided by 12. So not only am I going to be more accurate with my answer, I'm getting 108. I'm going to divide it by 12 now. And I'm getting 9. -9, sorry. Because I know a negative divided by positive is a negative. Alright? So again, this one's kind of a tricky, but by now you should kind of just be able to do this negative times everything inside the parentheses. You don't even have to write the little 1 there. I want to bring down that 11 h's, and I want to take negative times 2h, which is -2 h's. Negative times -1 is a +1. Again, most kids at this point now just say, hey, you know what, it's going to change the sign of everything inside the parentheses. So I got rid of my parentheses, did the distributive property. Now I'm looking for like terms. I got like terms right there. 11 take away 2 is 9 h's. Get rid of that 1. I don't know, did 9 go into 117? sure does. I wouldn't have known that. And I'm getting h is 13. Alright. Looking good. Alright, let me show you something about fractions here. It might speed some things up, because at the beginning of 9th grade they try to kind of make it that you can do some mental math here without a calculator. So when I do this half of 10, of means times, and I'm timesing it. And so when I say half of 10 in my head, I know half of 10 is 5x's. Now if you wanted to, you could take, here's another way to do this too. In previous years you said, hey, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. And so 1 times 10, if I had a half and I times it by 10, that'd be really 10 over 1. So what I do is the numerator. 1 times 10 is 10. And I'm doing this in my head. That's 10. 2 times 1 is 2, so that's 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now, I'm going to shorten it up here, because what I do is I do 1 times 10 is 10, divided by 2. If it's a nice easy one like a half, though, I just say what's half of negative 2? Negative 1. Okay? So I don't really need my calculator right there to take a half times all these things. I just take half of, which means times. Now I got like terms here. That's a terrible looking x, but I got 8 x's. I'm going to collect like terms. And I got minus 25. Let's add 1 to both sides. Don't care that my x is on the wrong side. I'll fix that on the next step. That's a minus 24. More negatives than positives. 25 take away 1. And now the last step, let's divide by 8. Negative divided by positive is a negative, and 24 divided by 8 is 3. Alright, now let me show you on this one about my fractions here, because 5 halves is not as easy as the half up above. I want to bring that 7 down. I want to take 5 halves times 8. I got a negative times a positive, so I get the sign out of the way first. Now look, I know they're going to be r's, but 5 times 8 is 40. 40 divided by 2 is 20. I have 20 of these r's. I'm going to do this now. Negative times negative. Get the sign out of the way first. It's a positive. 5 times 6 is 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. And I didn't need my calculator. Alright. Now, I got like terms and like terms. I got r's. I like to work with my r's first, or whatever the variable term is. I got a minus 20 and a plus 2. I got more negatives than positives, so I got minus 18 r's. And now I'm going to go look at my units. I got a 15 and a 7. Both of them are positives, so that's going to give me 22. Bring down my equal sign, bring down my 32. Let's subtract 22 from both sides. Now I got minus 18 r's equals 32 take away 22. Did I boo-boo here? Let's see. 40 divided by 2 is r. 30, 15. That's right, 2 r's. Yeah, I think I'm okay. That's 10. We're going to get some fraction answers here. I was just looking at that, so I'm going to get fraction answer, but I guess we get fractions now, which is okay. I'm not going to panic, because I want to divide by 18 here. Negative 18. Now, we got to always have our fractions reduced. So, 2 things here. I know a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Now, if you don't want to use your calculator, what we have here is a fraction, and I'm looking for the biggest number that goes into both of these. And I know 2 goes into both of these. 2 goes into 10 5 times, and 2 goes into 18 9 times. There's no other number that will go evenly in both of these, so I know I used the biggest number. Now, if you're not good at reducing fractions, you can just take your calculator and do 10 divided by negative 18. It's going to give you a decimal. Negative 0.55555 repeating. Now just hit make it back to a fraction, and it'll reduce it for you as well. Okay, so if they want the answer in fractions from way back in 6th grade always have to be reduced. All right. I think we got one more. Oh yeah, we got to translate. All right, well, you got to get good at these. Here we go. Let's see what it is. I want to read it through all the way one time, and then I'll kind of start breaking it down. I want 5 times the difference of twice a number and 3. So there's one part of my problem. Decreased by the sum of the number and 8. Oh my goodness, there's another problem. When I circle that one, there's my equals 13. So I know that's the easy part. Equals 13. The word is, well, even there they use equals. So that's my equals 13. Now, I need 5 times the difference. There's my operation. The difference of twice a number. I don't know what the number is, so I'm going to put it here, 2n. The difference goes right where the a and d is, 3. And now I want 5 times that. So that means I have to put it in parentheses and do a 5. Okay, so let's see. The difference of twice a number and 3, so that's that guy. Yep, 5 times that guy. Decreased by the sum of, so here's my a and d. So if I look to the left, there's my sum, there's my a and d of a number. Sum means add, so a number plus 8. And I want it decreased by that whole thing, so I need to put that guy into parentheses. Now I think I'm good. Let's do this. 10n's minus 15. There's that negative sign touching everything, so it just changes the sign of everything. And I'll bring that equals 13 and bring it over to the left here. I want to look for like terms. I got n's and I got n's. I got a negative 15 and a minus 8. I got some negatives and more negatives. Now I have a whole bunch of negatives. Let's get rid of that 23. $36, I believe. And last step, let's get rid of that 9. Division's always like the last step. And bam, not only did we write words into a math problem, we solved it using multi-steps. Okay. All right, with that, you got very few homework. I think there's like only maybe 10 problems today. But as you can see, they get kind of longer. Actually, you got 12 problems. I lied. But practice this, all these steps. It's a little bit slow at first, but you'll get faster and more accurate with practice. So keep practicing. All right, with that, have a good day.